Hey, Southeast Missouri sports fans. Enjoy the show and want to take it on the go? You can find every episode on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or YouTube. Tune in as they air by searching SEMO Sports Zone wherever you may be listening. Welcome to the SEMO Sports Zone presented by A-Corp Sports. David, you're going to be out this week for football, so if you've come for football, tune in next week. We'll cover that. I thought we would take the time, though, to cover a little bit of basketball.
Yeah, it's basketball season, and I think we have a lot of people around here that care about basketball. So why don't we give it a look over here as we get into start of the season.
Now, who do you think is kind of, on that little spectrum of just like, all right, they're making that run?
Oh, Puxico. I mean, they're going to be good again. I mean, you look at Burchard. Hancock. They're two of the best players back in the area. I mean,
Jackson and Puxico just played in a jamboree. Puxico came out on top on that one. So Jackson missing Toma. Obviously, he's playing football.
Three and both the Reagans were out too with football. But still, I mean, that's still. I mean, you're playing a Class 6 school if you're a Class 2 school. So and they had this kid named Ernst, who's a pretty good player for Jackson. So yeah, I mean, but that's a good win for Puxico. I mean, and Puxico is going to be good. I mean, they've got a tougher schedule this year, which they're hoping will get them ready for that district and hopefully a Final Four run. So, but they've got the Bogus kid, I believe is his name. He's in from East Carter, who's going to help them, give them some size, and they've got some other guys that are, they're going to really miss Long and a couple of those other guys they lost last year. I thought their defense was really good with those guys. They were scrappy, gritty.
It's kind of the heart and soul of your team right there.
Yeah, I mean, they were, and I'm not saying, it's a lot to replace there. I'm not saying that, because they're gone, they're not going to be any good, because they are. Puxico's going to be very good. Those are big losses, though.
Jet and Landon, I mean, they're gonna put points on the board. Like, that's their bread and butter. And I think Jet Hancock, I mean, we can go back and forth on who we think is the better player at that point. But, personally, I like Jet Hancock a lot. I think he fills that everyman position too, as well as getting points on the board. But, Landon Burchard, I mean, you want to talk about like offensive player of the year. I mean, he's always going to be in that kind of category.
Yeah. I mean, I've made it, very known that I think he's one of the better players in the area, if not the best player in the area. I think he's just a heck of a player. Gets can get to the rim, can shoot it, can handle the ball. I mean, he does everything you want from a guard, and really kind of as he goes, they go. And and like you said, Hancock's a heck of a player himself, and that's a pretty good 1-2 punch to kind of start the season with. They had a good summer, and like I said, they're. They've got some size this year that they didn't have last year with the Bogus kid, and you've got to think that they're the class of Class 2. I mean that's kind of the what everybody's kind of talking about, and I mean I would expect them to be right there at the end.
Absolutely. Is there any tournament coming up, because December's tournament time? Is there any tournament coming up that you're really excited for this year?
Well, the SEMO Conference tournament, that is obviously the one that is kind of going to be the exciting one, because you got a lot of parity in that this year. You really don't have last year you had Sykeston kind of the heads and tails above everybody else, but this year everybody seems to be kind of pretty much even, and anybody could win that. There's going to be a lot of good teams in that, and a lot of unknowns with. Not only, you got Sykeston with a lot of guys, back and who didn't play a lot last year because of the guys in front of them, but they've got a lot, that's going to be, Kobe, Kobe's back. You've got Ben James, who's not played the last few years with an ankle injury. He's back. I mean, you've got some guys there, Murray, he's playing again. So we'll see how that goes. And I mean, he's a heck of a player. I mean, so not only them, but Poplar Bluff's got a lot back. They've got a ton of size. And then you've got, do they have the guard play though?
Sure.
You've got Notre Dame, which has got a completely new roster, but they're bringing a lot up off of a 22-2 JV team. How are they going to do? And so there's a lot of questions in that. I mean, each team you could go down, and there's a lot of questions for that tournament. And I think that parity in that tournament is going to be a lot different than it was last year.
Yeah, we always talk about just like that tournament being kind of more I don't want to say prestigious, but in that sense, it's like that's the one we kind of build up to be that. Mm-hmm. And this year kind of feels like it kind of lives up to that billing. Maybe it's not the most like high priority basketball we've ever seen, but it's a lot of teams that are more even now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's going to be a lot of good games. I think last year, didn't it go pretty much according to seed, through the whole way. And you don't see that very often, but I think this year it'll be a little bit different. And, or maybe it'll be the same, but I mean, maybe they'll just get the seeds right. But I think there's going to be a lot of good games. And, because you got to look at, New Madrid, they were mostly freshmen last year. How have they developed? And that'll be a good question. And just down the line, for each team, it's just an exciting tournament and a lot of good teams. And a lot of those teams are going to be there. You're going to be talking about them in February about, they have a chance to win a district title.
So I think you have a listing of just kind of teams to look out for. So you want to just start at Class 1 and kind of who to keep your eyes on?
Yeah, absolutely. In Class 1, I think you got to look at Cooter and Risco. I think those are the two that I'm looking at kind of in the South. Cooter's got a lot back from last year. They'll be a lot better. They returned 4 of their top 7 from last year. They added Kyron Robinson from New Madrid, who didn't play last year because he was injured after football, but he transferred down there. He's going to be a big help to them. He's somebody who can really play. And they added Mathis, the freshman who's a coach's kid who's up, and they've got a good team. And Coach Mathis does a good job with them. And then you got to look at Risco. They lost Sammy Smith, which is a big loss, but they got Owen Fortner who's back. He was an All-Stater. He's gonna put up some points, I would imagine. Eli Rogers is back. He was an all-district player. are they going to be as good as last year? Probably not, but I think they'll still be good. I think they'll still cause some teams some problems. Clarkton, they've got a really good freshman class coming up. They've got some good underclass, good junior high kids coming up as well. I think they're going to be a team to be dealt with here in the next few years. And then kind of go to the north, you've got Delta. I think they return all 5 starters.
They were solid last year.
And they were solid last year. Coach Ebe does a good job with them. And Leopold's another team. They return a lot. Preston Campbell was a really, really good player for them. And Tommy Besink, Riley Anglin. They're all back. Coach Lincoln's got a good team up there. So I think, Delta and Leopold and Bell City too, can't overlook them. Bell City's got, a lot back from last year, and they were the kind of surprise last year. They kind of, snuck up on some teams in that Oran tournament, and I think they're going to be good again this year. They've kind of got things, going in the right direction there. So, there's some good Class 1 teams.
Yeah, you consider just like smaller classes, and I think the biggest issue you have with those teams is bench depth at that point. So you really want to look at those starting 5s that you kind of see week to week and just kind of gauge off of them of just like, well, where's this team at?
Yeah, absolutely. And with Class 1, you're they're typically not as deep as some others, but you look at Bell City, they played a lot of guys last year. Same way with Delta. They return all 5 starters, and they've got some guys coming up too that are going to be good players. So I think Class 1's going to have some good parity. I think there's going to be some good. Last year was kind of looked like it was Richland, Risco, and everybody else.
Yeah,
and that's kind of the way it ended up. But this year, I think it's going to be a little bit different and have some parity there. And there may be a team here that just kind of jets out front of everybody, but kind of coming into it, I think there's a lot of parity, and there's a lot of teams that think they've got a chance to win a district title, and that's always a fun time whenever you got a lot of parity there.
And let's go ahead and talk about Class 2. Stacked class last year. I think they're just as much this year, man. Just one right after another. Obviously we talked about Puxico, but you got Hayti. They return all 5 starters. They won the district title last year, got knocked off by South Iron in the sectional, but that's a team that can put up a lot of points, and they're just another year older, and that's a good group there. Right now they're playing football though, so they may be a little bit late getting started, but that's a group that's going to be tough to deal with come January, February. I think that's all 5 starters back from a team like that, and that they're going to be fun to watch. Charleston is another team that they were young last year, return a lot. Coach Williams has them going, and Trayshawn Shandon, he averaged like 14-15 a game last year. He's kind of leading the way with them, but they've got a lot of younger talent there that's going to be good. And South Pemiscot, Coach Days, the new coach down there, used to be at New Madrid. He does a really nice job, and they've got Farmer back, who's obviously a good player and won a district title 2 years ago. So made it to the Final Four 2 years ago. So they've got some experience there, and
I mean, you just go down the line. We haven't talked about Bernie yet. Bernie's just tremendous. They've got 5 starters back, I think. So, I mean, man, it's just one team after another. But Bernie with Aycock, he's going to be a good player. A team that I think a lot of people don't really think about is East Carter County, because, they lost the Bogus kid, but they returned basically, 5-6 guys that played a lot last year. They've got a new coach in Coach Stahl, and his son's one of the players there. I mean, those guys have played together a lot. They were young last year. So, some people saw them in the Christmas tournament at Bloomfield, but,
I think we get to see him again.
Yeah. And they weren't just awesome, but they were also a lot of sophomores.
Sure.
So they're going to be another year older, and they're going to be, I think they're going to be a handful in Class 2 as well. So, I mean, and Chaffee, I mean, we're, just go down the line. I mean, there's just one after another right now in Class 2 that are really good. And it's going to be tough to get through those districts.
Absolutely. Do you think this is kind of in general for Class 2, do you think we're starting to see kind of a resurgence of this like dynasty potential?
I don't know about dynasty potential, but I do see the, obviously Puxco wants a dynasty there, because, they've had a pretty good run of it. Haytai's got a chance to have a pretty good, couple years here that with their young talent. But what I think I see more is just really, really good Class 2 basketball. And I think for a lot of years, Class 2 basketball was kind of the down class around here, but not anymore. It is the strength of the area, in my opinion. The Class 2 district tournaments are going to be battles, and they're going to be battling all year long in conference tournaments. And these Class 2 teams are going to be tested, and they're going to be, whoever comes out of Southeast Missouri in Class 2 is going to have a chance to win a state title.
Which is, I mean, hey, great for the area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody in Class 3 you're looking at?
Class 3 is it's not quite as stacked. Scott City, they're a team that I think returns a lot from last year. A lot of younger guys that got some playing time. They do, they do have a problem in Woodland. I mean, Woodland returns, a lot. Corbin Kinder is just probably one of the better players in the area as well, along with Burchard. And they also get the Layton kid back. They do lose the Lee. I believe his name was David or Lane Lee.
Yep.
He's going to be a big loss for them.
You want to talk about like heart and soul of your team. I think, his dynamic with Kinder was just very like they were the team sometimes.
Yeah, they really carried them, but I think that I think they're still going to be really good. Kinder can up his game from what he was last year. He'll just have to probably take on a little more of the scoring load as will Calvin Layton. They had a really good JV last year too. That's going to come up and really help them. So they kind of got things rolling up there, and I think them and Scott City kind of have the. Especially in the northern part of the area, I think they're really the two teams to kind of look at. New Madrid, we talked about them a little bit earlier. They've got a lot of sophomores that played last year. How do they develop? I think that's kind of the question there. Jaden Williams is a really good player, but they've got to have some of their bigger guys. Smith and Nick English, those two in the post. I think they've really got to see some improvement in there. But I think they could be really good.
I don't know how senior laden they are anymore. They lost to their major seniors last year.
Yeah.
Is this a year, because obviously there's a lot of expectations on this freshman class that from last year. Do you think now as sophomores you kind of get some of that pressure taken off you a bit? Now you've got more time to develop.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, you got Malachi Hughes and Jaquan Jones, they're back as seniors. And then you've got Guess Newsome as a junior. But really, that's their main upperclassmen. So you're really going to be dependent on that sophomore class. And there's some good freshmen coming up as well that probably will get some playing time. But that sophomore class is going to be real dependent on them and how much they develop and how much they improve over last year. And I think that's the big question mark. And if they're as good as kind of people are making them out to be, then they can make a little run in Class 3 as well. And Crothersville, they returned Sammy Bryant. I mean, we know him from the football team. Quintarius McVeigh is another one that they returned, but they don't return much other than that. So they're not real deep. They're going to have to find some roles to fill in there. They lost Tremonte Alexander, who's a heck of a player. But Sammy Bryant's a really good player himself. He's just a really good athlete. And don't sleep on Twin Rivers. I mean, they've got 3 starters back. I really liked the William Parker kid last year. I saw him play in district tournament and was pretty impressed by him. But they've got some good players. So, I mean, there's some good talent in Class 3. It's just not quite as deep as Class 2, but there's some teams that could make a run.
And then bigger schools, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, Class 4. I mean, you're kind of looking at. I mean, Dexter is kind of the one. They won the district tournament last year. And they return a lot from that team. Geatley's back. I think Turnbow's going to play. You got. The freshman Nichols, I've heard a lot about him. I don't know. I've not seen him play, but I've heard a lot about him. And then of course Sepulvedo is kind of he kind of makes them go. And so they've got a lot back from that team last year who won a district title. And so we'll see what they do. I think the expectations will be pretty high with them. But again, they're another team I think may start slow. Not only they've got a tough schedule to start, but then they're coming off football as well. Sure. So who knows how long they'll be playing football. So
take some time to kind of get adjusted from the gridiron back onto the hardwood.
Absolutely. And then you're kind of banged up, and they played some tough football games leading into this season too. Then you got to start out with, I believe they start off with Charleston, and then you have the SEMO Conference Tournament. That's not exactly how you want to start a season. You kind of would like to ease into it, but they're not going to get that chance. Notre Dame is another team I think is going to be. They could be really good. I mean, you just really don't know. They're JV, they're not really tested on the varsity level, so we'll see how that kind of plays out. But their JV was really good last year. I mean, like I said, 22-2 and look good. So and Coach Brinkmeyer does a really nice job with them up there. So we'll see how they improve, and of course Kennett. I really like Coach McBroom down there. They do lose Watson, who is a really good player, but they get Ty Jones back out, Antonio Flakes, and some other guys that really helped them last year. That Zane Franklin had some big games for them, and they're all back. So I think they're another team that's kind of going to put themselves in the mix.
Yeah, Class 4. I mean, Class 4 is always one of those kind of weirder states where it's always competitive, but I never see them as like front runners.
Yeah, we really don't have a lot of Class 4 teams. It's kind of just, you've got Dexter, Kennett, and Notre Dame, and then Donovan, who kind of comes over from the West. We don't see them a lot, and that's it. I mean, Class 2, you got 25, 30 schools, but you just don't see a lot of Class 4. And then last year they played that district tournament up in the middle of nowhere in Fredericktown. So it was kind of, you just didn't really get eyes on it, and it just didn't have the gravitas, I guess you could say, that a lot of the other districts had.
Well, it's always difficult too, because you kind of see them running up into, I would say, kind of the similar problems that Sykeston ends up having in football. Just like Class 4, you're in this kind of weird spot, and post districts, it's always just a buzzsaw of St. Louis schools. Yeah,
and yeah, it's tough. And again, if you get out of districts, you've got Potosi, who's returns a lot from last year, and so they'll be good again. And Park Hill Central, I think, is another team up there. It'll be really good in Class 4, but. Hey, I mean, Dexter gave Potosi all they wanted in that sectional game last year, and Dexter peaked at the right time last year. They really started playing well around district, kind of surprised everybody, I think, whenever they knocked off Notre Dame, and so they're kind of the favorite this year. And this year they'll have the target on their back, and teams are kind of be gunning for them. But Coach Allen does a good job, and he'll have them ready to play, and they're going. I'm sure it'll be the same as last year. They're going to grind it out and really get after you defensively and run a lot of motion offense. And I am anxious to see the freshman Nichols if he does. I'm assuming he's going to play some varsity. I don't know. But,
that last name.
Yeah, we've seen Nichols before.
It's kind of a terror for BCT participants.
Yeah, he's got some pretty good lineage there, and I've heard a bunch of good things. But do they ease him into it? Do they just throw him into the fire right away?
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and I remember Cole Nichols played a lot as a freshman, and so we'll see if his brother does the same. But it'll be interesting to see how that all comes together once those Dexter guys get through football.
Absolutely. Class 5.
Well, obviously you've got Sykeston, and that's kind of the one that everybody's kind of wondering about, because they did lose a lot from last year. But at the same time, you lose 2 D1 guys. But at the same time, you do return a lot. Kobe Thomas, Markel Murray, and Harris Goodwin they're all back. And like I said, Ben James is back off his ankle injury. I think that he's. I think he's really going to be a player that's really going to help them. He can handle the ball. He can shoot it. He's just a very heady player, and his dad's the assistant coach, and he just is very. He's been around the game his entire life, and you go on top of that, and you got Jay Ray who's going to help. I think they've got a lot of young guys, a lot of sophomores that are untested, but I think that are really going to kind of impress some people, and they're going to get a lot of playing time, and I think that's going to surprise some people. But I think Sykeston's going to be good. And of course, you've got Cape, who's going to be good as well. Tashandra Edwards, probably one of the best players in the area as well, along with Burchard and Kinder. Do they have the guard play, though? I don't know. While Sykeston, they're kind of deep, and I think they've got a team that Coach Hollifield kind of likes, kind of a smaller team. They're going to run. They're not quite as tall as, obviously they don't have a 7-footer this year, but they're going to get out there and they're going to run. Where Cape Central, I think they've got some height. They've got Goliath Morse, who's back, but they got the height, but do they have the guard play? And that's going to be kind of the question. I know they've got some younger guards that are untested that they're going to be bringing up. So we'll see how they match up. But those two teams always seem to be on a collision course.
It's a unique dynamic. I think over the past few years, especially Sykeston's kind of been little brothering Cape Central. Yeah. I feel like this is a chance for Cape Central to kind of reel it back in and show them, hey, we can still hang with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, you look at it, and I'm like, you'd better get them now if you're Cape, because Sykeston's, like, again, has this really good sophomore class, and that's going to be a good group too. I mean, they just keep reloading there. So
you talk about Sykeston's schedule. I mean, regular season they've got both Hayti and Puxico, so obviously they're trying to play to your competition a little bit.
Yeah, they're getting some local teams. The St. Mary's is going to be playing here or playing at Sykeston. You're going to get Crothersville. They're playing Crothers, so they're playing some more local schools. Where last year they went all the way across to Springfield and played Principia and had a really tough schedule. This year they're playing tough teams, just local tough teams. Yeah. So I mean, that Puxico game and Hayti game, that's going to be a tough game for them. Puxico got them in the in the summer. A lot of talk about that, about how Puxico kind of handled them, and like I said, Hayti is going to be a tough out too. So that's a tougher schedule. And then you go up north and you've got Farmington too. Farmington, they do lose their 2 best players, but they returned 4 guys who played quite a bit last year. So you can't overlook them either. And the district seems to always be up there somewhere, because they're not going to have it in Sykeston anymore or Cape. So it always is going to be up north now, because all those teams are going to vote for it to be up there. So you're going to have to travel. You're going to have to go up there. You're going to have those officials, and it's never easy to win that district. But I still think Sykeston and Cape are on a collision course.
And then in Class 6, I mean, we got Jackson.
And we talked about them. They got Ernst, who's a really good player. And man, for a freshman last year, he was really impressive, and he's only going to get better. And then they've got Jackson's going to be a little bit different this year. I think they're not quite as big as they've been in the past. They got a lot more guards this year, but they got guards that can play. Obviously, Toma can play. And then they're going to bring some kids up off the JV, I think, that are pretty good players. They got a little shooter up there who's pretty good. Hit a couple of threes the other night against in their little scrimmage game. So I think that Jackson's going to be good, just like always. I mean, they're going to be there at the end. They are missing 3 kids off the football team that will play some big minutes for them. So that's another team that might start a little slow, get in the SEMO conference tournament. They'll probably have one of the top seeds, but will they be clicking at that point? And you really can't expect them to be going at 100%. And then, like I said, Poplar Bluff, they've got a lot of size. They've got 6'5", 6'4", 6'8", 6'4" across the front line. But again, do they have the guard play to get those guys the ball? And that'll be interesting to see, because they've got a lot back. So, and a lot of people aren't talking about Poplar Bluff, and sometimes Poplar Bluff kind of catches people whenever they're not talking about them. So, some good teams in Class 6 as well. We talked about a lot of SEMO conference teams, a lot of teams that. Good luck seeding that thing. I mean, they have to just throw them in a hat and just pull them out.
Well, you finally get something that's kind of more competitive. It's not just Sykeston and everybody else.
Yeah. And then you still, though, play it at the field house. Yeah. And so you've got that home court advantage, and here we go.
Well, I can't really think of a better venue to take it to.
No, absolutely not. But and it's centralized and everything. But a lot of people will start talking about that first week in December about, well, why is Sykeston getting to host it again? Just kind of the way it is. But the Sykeston plays well at that field house, that's for sure.
And then, as far as, our broadcast goes, I mean, we've got 2 Christmas tournaments to go through now.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. That's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of work for you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're going to have a busy Christmas.
I mean, December's already as busy as it is, but, adding just a little bit more of a workload. I mean, I can't do anything but smile about it.
Yeah.
It's more basketball. And it's a tournament that's got it gets eyes on it.
And yeah. I mean, those two tournaments, obviously, for me, Bloomfield is the class of Christmas tournaments in Southeast Missouri. But obviously the Cape Christmas tournament has been around just as long, if not, longer actually. And it gets a lot of eyes, and a lot of those teams. I mean, those 16 teams that have been in it for a long time without any change. And that means a lot to those schools that go up there, and a lot of people filter through that Show Me Center in those 4 days and watch a lot of basketball. And there's a lot of good basketball that's played up there.
Absolutely. And local tournaments, we've already got Orem, we've got Bernie. Those are already seeded and everything. I don't know which one I'm looking forward to more. They're kind of on that even keel for me.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Orem since I'm going to be doing some games there. So I guess I'm looking forward to that one. But I think Bernie's going to be a really good tournament. We talked about the seeds before we came on. Bernie, the top seed there, and that's obviously they're playing home. They have a lot back from last year. But you got Portersville, who
number 2,
who we didn't talk about. They returned 3 starters: Hickenbottom, Bell. I was really impressed with Bell last year, and he's back, and so you get 3 starters back, so they ought to be pretty good. Campbell will be good as well with the new coach.
I feel like Portersville was a little bit of a sleeper team last year, just because they never really had it all the way put together. But you're right, offensively sometimes they would just kind of pop off out of nowhere and be like, oh well, maybe they're on the radar. And they would just kind of they'd nestle. I would say. Yeah,
they were right around that 500 mark, and they just never could quite get over the hump. Them and Zenith seem to be very similar. That they would play some teams really close. They just never could get over that hump and get those wins. But with returning 3 starters, and that's a good start. And they had a pretty decent JV as well. So. That's a team that I think is going to be obviously coaches think a lot of them getting that 2 seed in the Bernie tournament with Campbell 3 and Risco 4. So that's a pretty good tournament, and I think that's going to be a really nice semifinal and championship.
I think Campbell might be slept on a little bit at 3, if I'm being honest. I don't know. I mean, I've got this feeling that they're going to kind of do more than we kind of think they are.
Yeah, I think it's kind of an unknown with Coach Crockett coming in there. He coached girls for a long time. I know he coached at New Madrid and Twin Rivers, the girls programs there, but they got the Sieberts back, a bunch of Sieberts, like a whole team of them. But you got a lot of other guys there too that are back. So obviously you lose Coach Fowler and you lose his son, who went to Malden, but at the same time, there's a lot back in that program, and Coach Crockett's got a lot to work with.
Yeah, and we're gonna get to see Campbell play a little bit in the Riverbend. That's going to be coming up soon. We get to see some local teams take on some non-local teams and just kind of gauge where we're at.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. I mean, you got Cuba who's in that tournament, but they lost all 5 starters last year. So that's they're kind of an unknown. St. Mary's is coming down from St. Louis. That's a really good team. I know that they're going to play Sykeston later on in the year, but they lost Zyree Collins, who averaged over 30 a game last year, and so that's kind of an unknown. They do return some guys, but losing 30 points a game, that's a lot to lose. Yeah. Lutheran North, they were kind of right around 500 last year, and they returned some guys, but they're kind of, with some of those schools up there, you just never quite know what they're going to bring down because it changes from year to year up in that St. Louis, up there with the way they have their enrollment set up. So you just never know what you're going to get. Blytheville is going to be really good, though. They returned a lot from last year and had a really good team. And West Memphis are another team. They returned 3 guys that were really good off a really good team, and they've got a lot of younger guys coming up too. So there's some good teams going to be in that Riverbend.
Absolutely. It's always fun. It's always fun to kick off basketball with the Riverbend. Yeah.
It's kind of the unofficial kickoff. There's no Dallas Lincoln this year that, and I know some people are saying, well, the Riverbend's down a little bit, but football has kind of played a little bit into that because you're playing deeper into the season that now if your semifinals are that weekend. So you might lose a team that might be thinking, hey, we might be able to play then. And it's just it's still a holiday weekend. So it's tough to get some schools down here too. So it's never easy to get teams down to play in that. So, but West Memphis has been in that thing for a long, long time, and it's always fun seeing them. They're just always an athletic, fun team to watch.
Absolutely. Is there any team that, just in general, that you think is kind of like on the bubble, dark horse, kind of like, oh, well, they could make a run, but nobody's really looking at them yet?
I think East Carter is that team in Class 2. I think that they've got a lot coming back from last year that people just aren't really talking about, but I think they could be really good. And Kennett in Class 4, I think that Coach McBroom down there, he's got a good nucleus to work with. I know they lost Dyson Watson, and he was a big loss, but I'm like, you got Ty Jones, Antonio Flakes, Charles Perry, Zane Franklin, Sire Thomas. I mean, that's a group that played a lot last year. They got a lot of minutes, saw a lot of action, and they're a well-coached team. I think they could surprise some people. Those are the two that pop into my brain.
I was kind of bullish on them last year, and I think I'm going to maintain the same opinion, but I'm thinking Bernie.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really curious to see what they bring to this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I consider them one of my favorites in Class 2. I mean, I think that I don't know if they're going to be sneaking up on anybody really this year. I mean, they're just loaded. I mean, they had a lot of sophomores last year. They're going to be juniors this year, and so that's and you assume Coach Long is going to have them coached up. They're going to play good defense. You know that they're going to be able to, they're going to get the ball to Aycock. They really did a nice job of that last year, getting ball into him in the post, and he really did a nice job. And Hobgood outside, he can hit some shots. So I mean, they've got everything they need.
Absolutely. Anything else I'm kind of missing right now?
No, I mean, I think we've got to, once this thing starts, it takes off, and we just kind of seem to fly through this and until about January, then until it slows down. But that first month is going to be it seems like it's going to be a lot of games and a lot of different tournaments and things that we're going to find out a lot about a lot of teams pretty quickly.
I mean, speak for yourself. I feel like as soon as December starts, I go into a trance until the end of March.
Yeah, for me, it's just like game in December. It's just like game after game after game after game, because you have all these tournaments, and they're good tournaments. They're tournaments that you're interested in. And then January kind of slows down. You get into your regular season a little bit more, and that's when it kind of just drags for me. And then it picks up again in February once you get that district tournament on the horizon that gets you excited about those. But have some county tournaments then as well. I tell you what, the Stoddard County tournament and the Boot Hill tournament again, they were great tournaments last year, and they're going to be great tournaments again this year. They're both going to be loaded.
Isn't it so strange that it feels like regular season is kind of, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but kind of it feels like it's like, all right, let's get through it so we can get to districts.
Yeah, a little bit, but obviously, that's why you play a lot of these. That's why you play a lot of these tournaments too, is just to kind of get away from that monotony of these regular season games. Obviously, your regular season titles of your county titles or your SEMO conference titles, obviously they matter, but you get more publicity, I think, from the tournaments if you win those tournaments. But at the same time, that those are what prime you and get you ready for those districts, and it kind of gets you seated. You kind of find your footing that way, and gives coaches reason to yell and get their teams improving.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, David, that's all I got. You got anything else?
No, just can't wait till this basketball season gets started. I mean, like I said, we've got this Class 2 is going to be a lot of fun to watch this year, and man, it's just a great Class 2, and then these other classes will be fun as well. But just to watch this Class 2 is going to be a lot of fun.
All right. Well, most likely next week we're going to be talking about the end of football, and then probably Riverbend as well.
Yeah, we got some Riverbend and the Current River shootout or whatever they call that over there. There's some good games over there too. So
we'll break all that down next week. This has been the SEMO Sports Zone. We'll catch you next time.